Hey, Rogues, welcome back to another extra episode of the Ruby Rogues podcast. I'm going to be talking really briefly about something that I discussed with Amanda Perino today. So Amanda is the director of the Ruby on Rails Foundation, and I talked to her for the Ruby Dev Summit. You can see the logo up here behind me. I'm pretty excited for that. Such good stuff. Anyway. So I'm just going to do a quick shout out about a couple of resources that are out there that we discussed. Now, Amanda's main job is actually not programming. She's the director of the Ruby on Rails Foundation, talked a whole bunch about the community and the things that are coming out and things like that. We talked about Rails World. And anyway, a lot of really great stuff coming out of the foundation. So I first of all just want to shout out about that. You can go sign up for the summit at rubydevsummit.com. We've got a couple of talks that I'm going to be, or not talks, but they're interviews. I got a couple of interviews I'm going to be putting out here within the next day or so on Top End Devs. And so if you sign up for Rails Clips or Ruby Bits, then you can get those interviews. But yeah, just go to rubydevsummit.com. There's a special deal on there where you can get both series for $30 instead of each series for $20 each. So, or I should say it's $29 instead of $19 for each. But anyway, we were talking about the community and how meetups and conferences seem to be coming back, and it's so exciting to see it because I remember during COVID we weren't really doing conferences, and people have been talking like things have kind of slowed down or stopped, and if the community's really still invested. And anyway, we are, and it is. And so anyway, and the other thing was there was a lot of great energy at the Rails World conference, and so I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that coming up. So one of my favorite resources here to find conferences is the rubyconferences.org. And so if you go to rubyconferences.org, I've actually got it up here on my other screen. I'll just move it over so I can kind of look at where I've been looking at anyway. But anyway, so rubyconferences.org, they've got upcoming conferences, they've got past conferences, and then they've got the CFP, which is CFP either open or going to open soon. So she mentioned, for example, that the Rails World CFP opens in a few days, I think is what she said, as this comes out. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. When you get the summit talk, obviously they'll be open. But anyway, so yeah, so just upcoming conferences. I guess there's a Warsaw Community Conference, Ruby Dev Room, Sin City Ruby, Tropical Ruby, right? And so you kind of get into, these are into April, RubyConf AU, Wrocław, which is in Poland, I think. Balkan Ruby, yeah, it's in Poland. Balkan Ruby, that's in Bulgaria. RailsConf in May in Detroit. Anyway, so super excited. I also talked to Jeremy Evans, who's going to be speaking at Ruby Kaigi in May. And so anyway, lots of great stuff. So if you want to find conferences for the for the Ruby community, you can find them at rubyconferences.org. Now, really quickly, there are a couple of things that I just kind of want to add to the mix as we're talking about this, right? Because there may be a conference near you that's definitely worth looking at. But the other thing to keep in mind, and the other thing to think about is, are there any of these that you want to speak at, right? So I talked to several people that, one of their things that they want to do, one of the things that they're excited to be a part of in the community is actually speaking at the conferences. And there are a number of good resources out there for people who want to potentially speak at a conference. And so definitely go watch some of those and see what it takes to submit a CFP that people want. The other thing is you can also go look in places like Twitter, look for #Rails or #Ruby. Go look on LinkedIn in some of the groups, talk to people, see what people are talking about on some of the podcasts that are out there, or YouTube channels, and see if there's anything there that you're interested in talking about. And then obviously formulate the CFP in such a way that they're going to want you to come and speak to their audience and bring something to the table that gets people excited. So, for example, one thing that I'm working on is I'm working on railscomposer.com. You can actually see me building it out on Rails clips. But one of the things that I'm putting together is I'm putting together basically pieces of a Rails app that you can use to back end like payments or user management or things like that on your Rails app, right? So you don't have to build it, you just plug it in. And right. And so I may go and I may want to speak on something that's related to that, like how Ruby and Ruby on Rails is a terrific one person framework, right? And so just get into the one person framework piece of it, right? Not necessarily to promote. So I wouldn't speak on Rails Composer. What I would do is I would speak on um, how Rails is a one person framework and then talk about all the great stuff that's out there that makes it a one person framework and all the different pieces that make it easy to build one person frameworks. And then from there, right, I might just mention, you know, and you can take a shortcut by using something like Rails Composer just somewhere in the talk, right? And so then it's not a hard sell, hard pitch. It's, hey, come check this stuff out, or maybe have some content out there that I can send people to get them, going, or get people on a mailing list, or get them to get in touch with me, right? So that's the benefit you can get from the conference, besides kind of the raised visibility of what you do. But at the same time, you just really want to get in there and give them a topic that will knock it out of the park for the listener, for the person watching, and give them a real clear outcome. So if you want to check out conferences you can attend, like I said, rubyconferences.org, and if you want to speak, then think about that outcome, think about the things you have to offer, and then go in there and just, give them a real solid rundown on what you bring to the table that can knock it out of the park for people who are attending conferences. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Go check out Ruby Dev Summit. That's rubydevsummit.com. And until the next one, Max out.